Alrighty, so the stream has ended, and I wanted to do a highlights of kind of what they showed off and everything in the stream, because obviously we're getting a new collab. It is going to be an AoT rerun. That was pretty much already leaked though. So we're gonna go over the characters and a little bit of the patch notes. I'm gonna try to like kind of go through them. I think the character stuff is probably what you're more interested in than the patch notes themselves, because I'm gonna have to go over the patch notes again whenever they come out on global. So I'm gonna kind of skim through things on the JP side, but they did show off the characters and everything on stream. They did a little bit of PvP, and like normal, the PvP was a little bit lackluster. They didn't show off the characters super well, but it was all right. I think the new Eren is very, very interesting. He's almost at 70k CC, which I think is pretty crazy. And then if we go over here to the new Levi, he's at 66.6k CC as well, and obviously he has the big thunder spears here. I think Levi definitely got better treatment when it comes to costumes, but let's go over the characters themselves, because obviously the two new characters are very interesting to me, and there were some buffs to the older characters as well, but it's nothing like super groundbreaking. Definitely some like stat improvements on the characters, and a couple of tweaks to basically some of their like damage modifiers on the skills themselves, but they didn't change like what any of the characters do, so could be kind of hit or miss for some people. But new Eren is very interesting. He is Eren Jaeger, and he is not a transforming unit. I think people thought that he was going to also transform like the old Eren did. They have opted for the way that they did it with like Philo, for example. So if we go, I don't remember if they showed the character off unless it was in PvP, but if we scroll over here to the PvP section, they showed off Eren first. We might actually be able to see. Oh, it's I think the Eren team goes first in the beginning of this fight, if I'm not mistaken. So give me 1 second here. Okay, it's right there, actually. So he buffs up with the Yan, and then he uses both attacks. This first skill, actually, he like jumps up, transforms into the Titan, slams down, and then the other attack, he stays in his human form. So definitely kind of interesting there. He's not a transforming unit, and then he does transform into his Titan form during the ultimate animation itself, but he stays as a human on the battlefield. But the character himself is kind of a split between a human and giant buff, which is kind of cool because giants have been needing something for a while. It might be a little small on the screen. Since I'm in this scene, we'll try to zoom in as much as possible here. So I'll literally just zoom right back out. Passive is Thirst for Freedom. By the way, shout out to Kane from the 70s Leaks Discord. He translated all of this stuff. For every giant or human ally present in the battlefield, increases the unit's base stats, or so basic stats, by 10%. When the unit attacks an enemy with a buff applied, increases damage by 30% per buff applied to the enemy. So that's going to be pretty interesting. Adds additional 20% attack-related stats boost when the ally attacks an enemy with a dominant attribute. So if you are if you're type advantage and you're attacking in, which the Eren is blue, so if you're attacking a red character, you will do additional stats. Or you'll get additional attack-related stats for that. So also, Giant Race is applied to the unit and can be contributed to passives that relate to giants at the start of the ally's turn. Heals 10% of giants' lost HP. So, pretty interesting there. He doubles as a giant, kind of like Sigurd in a way that is human and demon, but he is going to be human and giant. So that is pretty cool to see that there's at least something for giants here. His Holy Relic is when human allies attack enemies with a single target skill, ignores 30% of crit resistance. So a little bit, it's kind of weird that his Holy Relic is only for humans there, but yeah, a little bit of a buff for the human team, of course. So I assume LR Escanors are probably going to be running with this guy. Skill 1, I Really Hated You, which is inflict overwhelm damage by 390% of attack on a single enemy, so it's a single target attack, 2 times damage and crit damage to enemies with debuffs. So I think that there's a decent chance you might want to run like Purgatory Bond or something like that as well with this character, stacking up a lot of debuffs and stuff like that. Levi, I think, will gain more use out of debuffs and everything like that. But we'll go over him in just a moment. Skill 2 is I Proceed Forward. Applies a debuff to single enemies that decreases 40% of defense-related stats for 3 turns and applies damage by 300% of attack. So it's a debuff skill that's going to lower defense-related stats so you can hit harder. Definitely kind of interesting on that one. And then his ultimate here is Let's End This. Applies buffs that increase critical chance by 100% and inflicts spike damage, which is 2 times crit damage, to all enemies by 340% of attack. So AoE, probably going to do a lot of damage. During the PvP itself, they actually did end up using the ultimate a little bit towards the end of the fight, and it actually wasn't as crazy as I figured. I kind of assumed it was going to be like an insta-wipe, but he did end up fighting a Ragnarok team here, and yeah, they use the ultimate and then use a couple of bond buffs here. You can see the ultimate animation a little bit there, but it doesn't end up killing the Freya off, surprisingly. So I'm not 100% sure how the ultimate is going to do there, but at the end of the day, it's not too bad. The Levi, on the other hand, the new Levi is green, and we can go over his skills here. He is definitely going to be more, like, pretty much all human-related stuff. So, yeah, we have Dauntless Wing Levi. Passive is Mission Given. At the start of the battle, apply Proof of Defense to himself for 2 turns, and for every human ally in the battlefield, increases Pierce rate by 30% of the unit. Before the unit uses skills, remove 1 buff applied to all enemies and applies Critical Mark for 2 turns. For every critical mark applied to the enemy, increases critical damage of the unit by 40%. So Proof of Defense that he puts on himself at the beginning of the battle is plus 80% critical defense, so he's going to be a little bit tankier, and he gets debuff immunity. So that is actually pretty big. During the actual showcase that they did for him, which was the second match, at a certain point they're fighting the demon team, and the Estarossa would have encroached Levi, but he actually does not encroach him because he actually has the debuff immunity here. So I think it's right here. Yeah, you can see he has 5 of the darkness stacks on, but no encroachment, so the debuff immunity there should actually be pretty nice. The Mark of Critical, which is the one he applies when he attacks, is minus 50% critical resistance, and it cannot be stacked, so it's just going to make your crits hit even harder. His Holy Relic is for every debuff applied to enemies, increases critical chance by 10%, and it stacks up to 10 times, so obviously that's just going to help you crit more. First skill is Inflict Deadly Blow damage by 450% to a single enemy, and Deadly Blow is ×2 pierce rate, ×2 crit damage when attacking an enemy with critical mark, so it's like a specific skill for this unit specifically. Second skill is an AoE Infect called Get Out of My Way. Nothing too crazy there. It didn't do like the greatest damage, but AoE Infects are typically more of a supporty card in general, but it is nice that the human team is getting a new AoE Infect character, of course. The ultimate is Enjoy More. Applies buff that increases pierce rate by 100% to himself for 2 turns and inflicts pierce damage by 475% of attack. So he's very like pierce and like crit sort of oriented. It was it looked like he on paper was going to do like some really crazy damage. In practice, it didn't seem to go quite as well. By the way, there's this new fencing outfit for Demon King, which looks absolutely awful. Not a big fan of that, but yeah, they use a couple of the cards here. You can see the Infect doesn't do like crazy damage. The animation on it does look pretty cool. His Thunder Spears are gigantic. He attacks with the Escanor there, and then he attacks into Demon King. Obviously, Demon King has a little bit of a damage cap on, so it's not anything like super crazy. You're not going to be able to see the damage too bad there. Does attack into the melee, though, and does about half, maybe a little bit less than half HP, with him having full damage reduction stacks. So it didn't look incredibly impressive, but at the end of the day, it wasn't too bad. The banner is actually not too bad. Obviously, the characters on here aren't great. They did put Crazy Roxy, which is good, because I think she's going to be really nice to run with the human characters, of course. But the rest of the characters on the banner, not the greatest, but this should give you a decent chance to get actual AoT collab characters instead of just random bullcrap. So 7 characters that aren't AoT and then 5 AoT characters is pretty decent odds, I would say. Obviously, they're doing a collab ticket, so you can have a guaranteed chance at one of the collab characters here, 20% chance. Not sure. I mean, if you don't have any of the characters, I would maybe gamble on this, but for me specifically, I already have all of the old AoT collab characters, so a 40% chance is not terrible, but I probably won't end up buying this since I'm going to have to buy a lot of costumes in general. So, obviously, those are the new 2 new characters. They are going to be bringing the coin shop back. The holy relics for the old characters are... this is Eren's. At the start of the battle, increases your special move gauge by 2. Very lackluster on that one. Not really sure why they decided to go so simplistic with it. The SR Eren actually does get this as well because they share costumes, but it's going to help you ult rush faster, I guess, with the SSR Eren, so you can transform because he's a transforming character, but I was kind of hoping for a little bit more than just that, I guess. Mikasa's is probably going to be disappointing to a lot of people because it makes her a PvE character. If all allies participating in PvE battles are humans, the basic stats of the humans participating in the battle will increase by 10% for each ally. The damage dealt by single target skills will be increased by 15%. So could be kind of helpful, but obviously a lot of people are probably not going to get great use out of her as a PvE character. She is also locked out of Demonic Beast as well, which I think is fair. I know a lot of people probably look at PvE and they assume, you know, Demonic Beast is going to be the game mode, but I assume that they're keeping collab characters out of Demonic Beast, so that way it's not, you know, sort of pay to win, or like you had to be playing during that collab to have this character for Demonic Beast. I think that's good that they're restricting it to where these characters can't be good at Demonic Beast. Obviously, it would be nice to use them for the game mode, but I think that that's only fair because people who join the game after the collab is over with are not going to have a chance to get this character, basically. So Levi's, on the other hand, increases your critical damage by 20% for each special move gauge you have. So as his ultimate gauge fills up, he's going to do more damage, and he's already guaranteed to crit if you're attacking the lowest HP enemy. So could be pretty decent. Like I said, down at the very bottom, they show off like the stat increases that they're doing to the characters, and they do increase some of the damage modifiers on the actual cards themselves, so that could be kind of nice. Obviously, there's going to be some new bundles and stuff. They are giving out a really good amount of tickets. If I'm not mistaken, during the trailer that got leaked or whatever, I think it said 55 free summons. So they're basically going to give you, I think this is 3 multis worth of tickets from a login event, and then the special missions actually give you 4 tickets each, and you get a free copy of the old red Levi there. So that's pretty cool. I don't think any of the content that they're adding for this is new. This is the old story quest from the original AoT collab. They are going to give you enough copies to 660 SR Eren, and all of the free costumes that were originally added during the first part of AoT are going to be free again just through the events and stuff like that. There's a bingo event where you're going to be getting some of your holy relic boxes and everything. If you don't know, if you haven't played during a collab, you do get all of the holy relics for the characters for free. You just have to do the events in the game. You also get an SSR outfit for the new Eren for free through the bingo event, so that's kind of nice. They are bringing back the Colossal Titan fight, which is pretty cool. If you have not participated in one of these, they don't do them super often. It's basically you, and you can invite up to 3 people, and the person who does the most damage to the Colossal Titan, like, you all sort of like help take down the Colossal Titan's health bar, but depending on which place you rank in on how much damage you dealt to the boss is going to be how, like, that's going to count for how many rewards you get from actually clearing it. So if you're in first place, you get, you know, a lot more rewards than the lower places or whatever. But yeah, pretty cool there. Obviously, some more free outfits and stuff like that from the exchange shop. 2 more Holy Relic boxes from this one, so make sure to participate in that. The Giant Destroyer battle is coming back. This is a pretty interesting game mode that I don't think they've messed with since the original AoT collab. Basically, you just pick 8 characters and you make your way through the sort of, like, you know, battle zone here, and if you lose a character, they're out for good. So you basically just come up with 2 teams, and then if any of them die, which I don't imagine this is going to be too hard. I'm not sure if they're increasing the difficulty on this at all from the original one, but it was pretty easy back then, and it's probably going to be pretty easy this time as well. You do get a Holy Relic box and the Levi costumes from it, or the original Levi costume, I guess, so make sure you do that. This is a chart to tell you where you're actually getting each of the Holy Relic collab boxes. King exchange event is back. All the boosting events are back. You can choose between the new Levi and the new Eren for a login character, so that's kind of cool. They did bring one new outfit for all of the old collab characters, so because SR Eren does share costumes, you can use this one on both of those, and then there's a new Mikasa and Levi costume for the old units. Obviously, Levi has 3 costumes, which look pretty cool. I think Levi got the entire budget for the collab, to be honest with you, because these outfits are way better than the ones that Eren got, in my personal opinion. So they did bring back the old costumes as well, so if you haven't purchased those, I think the only one I bought from the original collab was this Eren one right here, so I might have a lot of money to be spending on this, unfortunately. But new Hawk Pass for JP, we'll get this on Global in probably a couple of weeks, but it is the new fencing outfit for Demon King, so if you want to max out his costumes and stuff like that, just know that you will have the chance. Tower of Trials is over as of this update on JP, so make sure that if you have not done Tower of Trials, you do that very soon. They are also improving the event lobby to where it's going to go back to the same spot where you were already at, so if you scroll up and down through the menu, it'll keep where you scrolled, not anything crazy there. They're increasing equipment storage from 200 to 250, which is kind of nice. Couple of bug fixes here, and then here are the actual changes themselves. I did try to translate these and everything on stream, and the translation was awful, of course, so I'll probably go over these a little bit more in depth whenever the global patch notes come out. But they did increase not all, but they did increase stats for all of these old characters. These are the old Levi, Mikasa, and Eren units, so they do get stat increases. The special technique on Mikasa gets increased, and this is I think the ultimate move disable card that the SSR Eren has. It also got tweaked a little bit, and then in general, the debuff for defense-related stat reduction is going to be increased across the board. So there's a Liz Hawk, an Adventurer Bond, and a Valenti that actually share this skill as well, and they're just basically making it to where instead of a 1-turn defense reduction, it's a 2-turn at levels 1 and 2, and it's a 3-turn at level 3. So nothing too crazy on the stat buffs themselves, but I think as long as it gives them some good, decent stats, they should be able to hopefully survive, and we might actually be able to see some interesting stuff in the meta. So that is basically all of it. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on the collab, of course. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I will obviously be summoning whenever it drops on Global, which should be next Tuesday. So feel free to, stick around and come, watch the live summons whenever the banner drops. But that is it for me. Thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe, all that good stuff. I will see you guys in the next one.